Hi everyone, this is Suzanne and I'm here with Avani, and we are very excited to be talking with you this morning about the mechanics of manifestation. And before we get started, I just want to share with you where this idea of the mechanics of manifestation came from. Avani is trained by Deepak Chopra in meditation and primordial meditation, and I come from an extensive background of law of attraction. So we both bring some interesting aspects to manifestation, and as we were talking about this, we realized that the mechanics of manifestation really does include meditation, what we're going to be learning about in terms of law of attraction principles, different ways to reduce and eliminate limiting beliefs. There are things such as essential oils that we can be using to help enhance our manifestation. And today is going to be our introductory talk, preparing you for one of the key components, which is, of course, meditation. And then moving forward, we're excited because we're going to be providing you a lot of additional information on the mechanics of manifestation.
So today together we will take a step towards our journey to manifestation of our desired life. If possible, go ahead and grab a pen and a paper and just sit comfortably and relax. Allow yourself to stay open to receiving. So I will have Susan come in and explain us and talk about these different steps towards mechanics of manifestation. So Susan?
So as you can see on your screen, we've outlined 6 steps toward the achievement of your desire, or the mechanics of manifestation. And you may have seen these written different ways, and these are, regardless of how you've seen them written, these really are the fundamental steps, and we're so excited to be sharing them with you. So the first step, as you can see, is identifying, recognizing, minimizing, and letting go of non-nourishing ideas, thoughts, images, and experiences. Well, what does that mean? That means to let go of what is not serving you. So let's talk for a minute about what isn't serving you. And I thought a good way to share that with you would be to let you know what in my own life wasn't serving me. And for me, that was that I wanted to move myself ahead professionally, but I was terrified of public speaking. That was my non-nourishing thought. I just could not imagine letting that go. But I also knew in terms of moving forward what I needed to do. So before we go further, take a minute, and again, if you have the pen and paper, write it down. What is it that is keeping you back? What thoughts are keeping you from achieving your desires?
So that's great, Susan. So if they can come up with one single idea of non-nourishing that's holding them back.
Excellent. Thanks for clarifying that, Avani. There's so many that I know that we all can have all the time. If you can just think of one for this exercise. Again, for me, it was public speaking professionally. It could be for you what's keeping you back from having your ideal relationship. Maybe you have health issues. Maybe you're having challenges with your children. Could be absolutely anything, and just think of just one. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how to remove the limiting beliefs around that. So for me, I could not imagine going up in front of a group of people and giving a talk. Maybe for you it's how Could you handle a 1 hour conversation on a dating? Or maybe that you're so overweight you don't know where to start. Or could have to do with maybe you want to start a business or increase your income, but you feel as though your parents never made more than a certain amount, therefore how could you possibly make that amount? So at this point, I hope that you have your limiting belief in your head or in your thoughts. And if you don't, feel free to pause this and take a minute and identify what that is. So in the Mechanics of Manifestation workshops and seminars and classes that we're going to be bringing to you, we're going to be talking about a number of different ways to remove that limiting belief. For me, again, it was removing the idea that I could not be a public speaker. I'm going to share just one way with you, and again, this is one of many we'll be going through. And this is coming from Byron Katie. And Byron suggests that we ask ourselves 4 questions. 1, is it true? In my case, is it true that I couldn't possibly imagine becoming a public speaker? When I asked myself that question, of course it absolutely was true. So ask yourself your question right now and see if it's true or not true. So we're going to move forward assuming that it is true. If it's not, you can certainly skip ahead to question 3 here. Question 2 is, can you absolutely know that it's true? As I thought about my experience with the public speaking, I thought, okay, well, I can take the steps to the front of the room. I know a lot about my subject matter, so I absolutely could come up with the information that I needed to prepare my subject. And while I have a voice, I certainly can speak, and I've traveled before, so if I needed to get on a plane to go someplace, I certainly could do that. So can I absolutely know that it's true? No, I absolutely cannot know that it's true that I can't do public speaking. So think about that for you. Ask yourself those same kinds of questions that I just asked. And again, feel free to pause this and take a moment and write it down. So the third question is, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? Well, when I believe that thought, I'm very limited. I'm very constrained. It's just frustrating to know that I could not move ahead because of this fear of public speaking that I had. And then a very important key question that is not within Katie's 4 questions, but a really important question is, where did that belief start? What was the first instance of having that belief? Did something happen last week, last month, last year, when you were a teenager, in junior high, or maybe it was even in grade school? As I thought about it, I thought back to maybe 2nd grade and answering a question on the board, and the teacher saying, "No, that's wrong," and everybody laughing. And I made the decision at that point in time, when I was 7 or 8 years old, that I could not be a public speaker. I couldn't speak to 5 people, I couldn't speak to 10, I couldn't speak to 50, and I couldn't speak to 100. And that was how I lived my life. So how did I react? What happened when I believed that thought? I felt really, really constrained. Super, super constrained. So think about how that thought impacts your life. And number 4 is, who would you be without that thought? Think about that. Who, as a person, would you be without that thought? For me, it was that I would be someone who would be free. I could completely expand the type of work that I was doing. I could get out and meet new people. I could increase my confidence. And as I thought about it, I just blew up with energy. I got really, really excited and decided that that was something that I wanted to do. So as we move to step 2, we need to get clarity on our desires. So what is it that you really, really want? In my example for public speaking, I needed to think about, did I want to speak to 2 people? Did I want to speak to 5 people? Did I want to be able to give little presentations in my office, which would be a really important thing to be able to do? Did I want to be able to give larger presentations and talks with within the people that I knew? Or did I want to be able to go into a room of strangers with a topic that I knew and be able to speak in public with a prepared presentation? And then the next piece, which was the highest and scariest piece at that point, was how would it be to walk into a room of people that I did not have an agenda, I didn't have an itinerary, I just went in there and figured it out as I went along. And I decided that that was what I wanted. That was my desire. So as I moved into step 3, and as you move into step 3, we need to set powerful and clear intentions for the manifestations of our desires. So if I just said if I wanted to public speak, the universe could have had a couple people show up in my experience that I could have talked to. I could have done volunteer work. All things that I've done and I've really enjoyed. But it wasn't, I needed to get really, really clear on how much I wanted to expand, on what it was that I wanted. And for me, it was the stepping stone. For me, I wanted to be able to walk into a room with a prepared presentation, and also be able to react to questions, to be able to think on my feet. The thinking on my feet was the really, really key point. So what is it for you? What is your deep and your clear intention? And now Ivani is going to talk with us for a minute about allowing universal energy, God and Spirit, to bring our desire into reality and how we go about doing that. And then I'll be back with you to talk about inspired actions.
So Susan, that's what we talked in the step 3, as you said, that we do need to set up a powerful and clear intentions. And as we do that on paper and pen, it's the meditation part is what is powerful, that once we start doing those intention in utter calmness, that's when it internalize within us. And once we do that, we come to the step 4, where we kind of just let go. We kind of take a step back and allow the cosmos or the universal energy or the God or the Spirit, however you would like to call it, to align with yourself, with your frequency, with your energy, and which is again created in that very utter calmness through our meditation. And when we set those intentions in the silence of ourself and our true awareness and in our true nature, then the manifestation becomes easier and spontaneous. So once we do that, we kind of sit back and take an action when we see some universal signs towards our desire and intentions. And that takes us to step 5, as you said. What does that mean to take inspired action? So, you have been giving a lot of examples towards it. So why don't you talk about that, Suzanne?
Sure. So there's taking actions and there's inspired actions. And our actions come from our mind. We can, in my example, and I always think it's best to teach by examples, I could have came up with a list of companies that would allow me to, a list of 10 companies that would allow me to go out and do some public speaking. I could have spent a couple of days calling them, doing letters, so on and so forth. That would have been an action. And that sometimes actions are very appropriate. But an inspired action is an action that comes from within. It's an action that makes our heart sing. And really, without getting quiet and without spending that time in meditation, it's really difficult, and I really think it's impossible to connect with our inspired actions and know what it is that we're supposed to do. So again, in my example, at this point, I was ready to talk to small groups, definitely not like 600 people, but I certainly could see myself talking to 50 people. And I was taking some actions, doing something, but then I saw an email come in looking for instructors to speak out. My area of expertise is in healthcare, to talk about healthcare topics and travel around the country. And I didn't, when that request came in, I didn't think about it. I didn't question it. I just hit the button, sent my resume in, and said, yes, I'm going to do it. And you know what? As I was getting ready to do this, I had a lot of thoughts. You're crazy. Why are you doing this? You can't possibly do this. Blah, 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 blah. But I was fortunate that I had learned a tool. And the tool I had learned, which is something really, really important, and I really hope you implement, it's called, or my name for it is Thank You for Sharing. So when I get those thoughts that are not in alignment with my desire, I see like a little man or a little woman with in the newspaper, a cartoon little bubble. And in the bubble, it says whatever my thought is. And say, so in my bubble said, scaredy cat, you can't possibly talk to that many people. And I saw that bubble just sort of go across my mind and think about like a flat earth that just kind of walked across and then it just fell off. And all I said was, thank you for sharing. I didn't judge it. I didn't allow it to be true. I said, thank you for sharing. And you know what? If I had tried to push that thought away, that thought would have come in deeper, because that thought really did think that it was there to protect me. So the best thing that I can do and you can do when you have those negative thoughts is just allow them to come in and to fall away. So that is really that idea of taking inspired action, which is so really important. And then step 6, enjoying and sharing our desired intention with nourishing purpose. Vani will talk about that for just a second, and then I will share the end of my story.
So thank you, Susan. And as we know, for me, and we all know that our ultimate purpose in our life is to stay happy, healthy, and peaceful. So whenever we ask for anything, whatever desire and intentions that we bring in ourselves is ultimately seeking to be peaceful, to be healthy, to be happy. And when we achieve those intentions and desires, that's why we want to share those, because that's where peacefulness and happiness comes. So, whatever desire and intentions we set, let's share with the purpose of nourishing ourselves and others.
Yes, definitely. And I'll share that the way things turned out for me, out of taking these exact steps, is that I ended up working for a traveling university for a couple of years, where I went to all different cities around the country, and I gave talks on healthcare topics. And you know, my talk was the same talk, my slides were the same slides, but I never knew what kind of a doctor or what kind of a nurse or what kind of a staff member was going to be in my group each day. So I had to learn to think on my feet. And I did, even when I was up there speaking, I had those thoughts, oh my gosh, why am I here? Every time I walked into a new room, I had the new room, little bit of stress, but I just pushed forward and I just kept taking inspired action. And my career took me from doing those kinds of talks to giving larger group talks to physicians and other medical staff members around the country. And you know what? I grew up just very shy. I did not have a great childhood. I don't even want to get into it, but it was not a great child. I just share that a little bit just to tell you that I was not born to parents who are public speakers. I was not born to parents who were, out there and superior at all this. Everything that I've done has been done not through my own or through my background. It's done through taking these steps and following these and other mechanics of manifestation that we're going to be sharing with you coming up in our free and some of our other classes. So we're so pleased and excited that you joined us today, and we look forward to seeing you in another class. Take care.